All right, good evening, everyone. This is Dr. Ken, your board certified psychiatrist, veteran, and corporate leadership coach. I help corporate leaders pinpoint their leadership issues so they can develop thriving workplaces with less turnover, improved workplace morale, and increased organizational performance. You are here for another episode of Strategy Sunday with Dr. Ken. Thank you for being here. Right? This week, today, we're going to be talking about the U word, the powerhouse of change. The U word, the powerhouse of change. So as usual, I like to get, you guys' thoughts on what the word, what could it mean, what could it be? But as you do so, I want you to contemplate this question. What date signals the end of the COVID-19 pandemic? What date signifies the end of workplace drama? Just think of the question, right? And if you can come up with an answer, that's great. But the key today is, what if you cannot come up with an answer? What word would that be? All right, so I'm gonna look in the chat and see what words you guys come up with. I'm too excited to see what you guys gonna start typing in here. Yeah, get those thinking caps on. No, it is not U for uncle. No, we're not. Understanding. All right, that's a good one. Understanding in the workplace, understanding in relationships. That's great. Yep, that's a good guess. What other guesses do we have out here? So understanding could be the powerhouse for change. I can see that. That's a possibility. What else do you guys have? Come on, just throw it in there. There's no wrong answer, right? Actually, it's just giving me kind of material for future broadcasts. So just drop it in there. U for united, upheaval. I heard Victoria. It sounds like there's a lot going on that we probably should have a session for. Understanding. Kay says understanding. All right. So okay. So what date signals the end of the COVID-19 pandemic? Understanding. Well, that would be great if we have some understanding of what's going on. However, today the U word that we're going to be talking about is unknown. Unknown. So as we'll define unknown today, it's something that exceeds one's knowledge, skills, or understanding, right? The unknown, right? You ever heard of that statement or that phrase, the fear of the unknown? Yes. So we're talking about the unknown today. Are there unknown elements in your life right now that you can think of? Just, yes, no, maybe so. And we're going to have a nice little discussion today about the unknown. Because I can tell you, for me, there's a lot of unknowns going on for me. As you guys know, I'm starting off Dr. Ken Richmond, one arm of a non-clinical arm of the business entity that I've created, and then I'll be launching another one soon. But there's a lot of unknown in that, right? So as we talk about in every Strategy Sunday, there's a cost and there's always a benefit. And we'll go through a few of those, but I want to see what are some of your unknowns, at least that you can think of, right? Because the fact that it's an unknown is kind of a catch-22. They always say you don't know what you don't know. A lot. Kay says there's a lot of unknowns. All right. So that means it may be easy to list a few, right? So the key here is that we have to consider the elements in our life or in our lives that are known and unknown. But I really, really want you guys to focus on the unknown elements, because that is what can not only affect how you function day to day, but how businesses function day to day, right? So let's go through some of the benefits of recognizing or dealing with unknown elements in our life. So one, it provokes creativity, right? It gets you to start, thinking outside the box, literally, right? Provokes creativity. It also causes a shift from doing business as usual, right? If you are in a situation where your business in the marketplace, it changes drastically and you have to adapt. If you're not thinking outside the box, you're clearly going to be stagnant, right? And you may get consumed as a result of that. And you also have to shift your focus from business as usual. I mean, look at a lot of the food industries. They've gone from patrons coming into the venue to really relying on drivers and deliveries and those kind of things. So yes, you do have to think outside the box, and you have to think about doing business other than usual. It also, when you recognize the unknown elements in your life or in your organization, you also introduce opportunities, unique opportunities. So think of an example like this. So let's say you've been wanting to have a very difficult conversation with a coworker, a boss, whoever that may be. You know, when that unknown element surfaces, it may be a time for you. That may be a unique opportunity for you to now engage in a conversation that you wouldn't have otherwise, right? I always appreciate the unknown elements in my life because it allows me, for one, to focus on strengths versus weaknesses. And like I tell patients all the time, I said, let's focus on the strengths because the strengths are what pays the bill, or what's going to pay the bill for you, right? In terms of your stability, it's going to keep you sane, ideally, right? Whereas when you focus on your weaknesses, you don't, it doesn't really pay the bill. Okay, so again, focus on your strengths, not so much your weaknesses. But yes, focus. One of the benefits of recognizing the unknown elements in your life is that it can allow you to appreciate and recognize unique opportunities. Can you guys think of some other benefits of recognizing unknown elements in your life? Well, if you do, drop it in the comments. I'll be happy to read them and read them out loud. All right. So we're going to move into some of the costs of succumbing to the unknown, right? In other words, you don't even want to recognize it. You don't want to deal with it. Again, we define it as it exceeds our own understanding, our own knowledge, and our own skill sets, right? So let's focus on some of the costs if we don't address the unknown elements in our life. One is that it stirs up fear. It stirs up the fear within us. It can also intensify pain, and we can take that as physical pain, psychological pain, but it's pain nonetheless, right? It just intensifies that feeling, and ultimately it prolongs our suffering because we don't want to make a decision. We don't want to make a move. We don't know what's out there. It's dark, right? Somebody shine the light. Who has a flashlight, right? Somebody do something to give us some kind of guidance. That's the unknown, right? All those emotions that you could be experiencing, sometimes all at once, can cause somebody to be paralyzed. So that's the other cost, right? Paralysis, psychological paralysis. You're in a leadership position and you're not willing to make a decision. You don't know the consequences, or you haven't appreciated the consequences, right? So it's a matter of how do we take a few steps back and realize, hey, maybe we missed an opportunity. One of the benefits of dealing with the unknown versus ignoring it altogether. There can also be physical paralysis. You don't want to leave your desk. You don't want to leave your office to go to your colleague's office to have that conversation, right? There's always a cost. The question is, are you willing to pay it, right? What is it going to cost you to not deal with the unknown elements in your organization, in your life, or in relationships in general, right? Let me check in with my audience members and see what we have in here. So Primus, hey, thanks for joining. Primus says, realize that you can do things that you never thought you could. Absolutely, right? So when you realize you're putting yourself in a different situation, a lot of this stuff is new, right? I look at myself, right? 2019, many of you know I was not on social media. That was not my thing. I was like, if you have to contact me, you have my email or phone number, utilize it. That was 2019, trying to make some changes. I'm on social media. As of 2019, I was not live streaming. I was not live streaming. So you can imagine how much unknown I had about that. Like, what am I doing? I'm talking to just a laptop. You try to look at the light and make sure, your eye level is good and you're delivering something that hopefully makes sense or connects and resonates with the audience. But I would say I have consistently done that for the last few months now, actually. Yes, I have to do some background counts there. But it is a matter of just kind of sticking with it. Yes, so coming outside of the box, like I didn't think I was going to be able to do this. I didn't like doing it, but here I am. What else do we have? Opportunities you never thought of. Excellent comment by Susan. Helps you focus and strategize. That is totally correct, Victoria. And that's why, this broadcast series is called Strategy Sunday, right? How do we get started with some way of recognizing what we can do differently from what we've been doing? And that's a big shift. So the U word, unknown, is a powerhouse of change. We have to start somewhere, right? Hey, Susan, thank you for joining us. Susan Douglas, we have two Susans on here. There's Susan K and then Susan D. Thank you both for joining. All right. So let's transition into our tips now. All right. So this is Dr. Ken Richmond, board certified psychiatrist, veteran, and corporate leadership coach. I help corporate leaders pinpoint their leadership issues so they can develop thriving workplaces with less turnover, improved workplace morale, and increased organizational performance. Let me tell you about some of my tips and strategies to manage unknowns. One, get creative. Two, you want to create a plan. And three, you want to let anxiety motivate you. Take a deeper dive. First one, get creative. Yeah, I want you to brainstorm. Just let your imagination flow, right? This is a time to innovate. Time to innovate. So I want you to figure out if you are risk averse, which means that you would look before you leap, or you're a risk taker. Are you the type to leap first and then look? Right? Figure that part out, because not knowing that, which type of your sensitivity or your temperament dealing with risk, you have to know that because it can stunt how you make your decisions. Okay, allow yourself to consider the possibilities. In other words, when you get creative, allow yourself to consider the possibilities, risk or not, right? For your life, for your organization, for relationships that you may be in, right? And once you realize that you can be as creative as you want to be, you may see that you've also been limiting yourself from doing other things. Okay, so that's the first one. Get creative. Second one is to develop a plan. And no, I know it. It sounds basic. At the same time, are we doing it? Right? Are we doing it? So we want to develop a plan. So I want for us to become focused, accountable, and I want for us to execute, right? This is a tip that even I had to really, really internalize, right? Focus, hold myself accountable, well, focus on what I want to do, hold myself accountable, and then execute. Is it going to be perfect? Probably not, but is it worth growing into? Absolutely. So the key here is that I want you to figure out what opportunities exist so that you can formulate a strategic and tactical steps that allows you to connect as many dots as possible so that you can create some image, or for that image to suddenly become clear to you and those around you. Okay? So that is developing the plan. The third one, let anxiety motivate you. And I know you guys are going to say, whoa, how are we going to let anxiety motivate us? Anxiety typically paralyzes us. Well, anxiety does one of two things, right? Three things if you think about it, right? Paralyze you, it can motivate you, it can cause you to freeze, right? Or fight, I should say fight. Fight, flight, or freeze. Those are the three things that anxiety or stress response can do to you. But I want you to let your anxiety motivate you, okay? So go ahead. When that unknown element, rises or surfaces in your life, ask the 20 million questions that would flood your thoughts. Allow that process to occur. Don't fight it, because now this is how we're going to channel it, right? Then once that happens, I want you to now think outside the box. Let that immediate reaction happen, but then think outside the box. It plays into the creativity aspect, the creativity tip that I mentioned above. But this is just a systematic way of allowing your brain, your behaviors to really, really flow. So yes, that increased heart rate that you may have, that muscle tension, that prickly, tingly sensation you may have, the sweating, that heat response that you experience, chest tightness, shortness of breath, all of those things. Experience those things for what they are, especially when you're about to make a big move, when you're about to make a decision, you're about to alter your life in a positive and healthy manner, right? Just commit to it, right? But let the anxiety motivate you. I've allowed it to motivate me so far. It's getting less and less, so that's a good thing, right? So what do you guys think about some of these tips that I shared with you today? All right, so I'll get to the comments a little later. But this is Dr. Ken, your board certified psychiatrist, veteran, and corporate leadership coach. I help corporate leaders pinpoint their leadership issues so they can develop thriving workplaces with less turnover, improved workplace morale, and increased organizational performance. You can follow me at www.facebook.com/ Dr. Ken Richmond. That's DrKenRichmond. And more interestingly, you can follow me or join me in my leadership challenge at leadersthriving.com. That's Leadersthriving.com,